Hello everyone, hopefully everyone can hear me and see me. All okay. Let us know in chat if everything's going okay or it's all gone tits up. Let us know. Welcome to tonight's live stream. Turn it down a little bit for myself. Okay. Well, yes, welcome to tonight's live stream where tonight we are doing a question time. So if you have any questions about games development or UE4 or anything you'd like, please let me know in the chat. Setting a new setup here. I've got my phone as a new camera to the side here rather than use my webcam. It's not that great. Hopefully that's all coming through just fine. If it is a bit pixelated, I apologise. I bought a whole new here and it should be faster on my end. So, but I understand that the internet companies are throttling a little bit. So if you are getting a bit of pixelation, apologies. It's probably a bit of throttling from the internet provider. But we're set up and we're good to go for tonight's question time. So if you have your questions, throw it up in chat. There can be anything you like about UE4 development, anything you like. Totally up to you. And we'll do our best to answer them tonight live for you. Heads up, I'm on baby duty, so if I have to pop off for a bit because my children are starting to cry, then I've got to shoot off and sort them out, and then I'll be back down. Shouldn't take too long though. But that's a heads up warning if that happens tonight. Hopefully, all good, and I have to keep an ear open so I can actually hear the monitor. Yeah, so give it some time for the codec to pop in. It should be a little bit better now with the quality. Yep, I've gone for the COVID haircut. My wife tried cutting it with scissors and stuff. Plan B, we shaved it off, which is fine. I used to have it like that. I look kind of like a thug, but yeah. So we got our first question tonight from Point on YouTube. He's asking, "Hi Ryan, I'm currently developing a game that I want to completely finish and polish, but I'm not great at art. That's UI art and stuff like that. So my question is, how do you handle art in your games?" So yeah, good question. I myself am more of a programmer than an artist. It probably takes me a lot longer than most people. So what I tend to do is first of all, I try and stick to designs for games that are simple-ish, that I know that are inside my expertise of art skills. Saying that, I've in the past used assets that I've bought from other artists, and I've also commissioned artwork by other artists too. Websites like Fiverr are a great place to go to get artists to. Pardon me. Sleep deprived too. Fiverr's a great place to go to get some work done. I've used Fiverr before and paid artists to complete work for me. It's a good idea to have some sort of concepts you have at hand already that you want to push forward. So show some concepts, some inspiration, some ideas from existing games or other games you've seen at least in development, and use that as a guiding path for the artist. Other than that, you just use placeholder until you get time or the funds to purchase artwork from other artists. Other than that, it is literally, if you're going to do it all yourself, it's just a matter of just practicing and practicing. There's not much really else to it than just practicing that workflow. Hello, Josiah. Oh, hold on. Apologies now, I'm going to yawn quite a lot. I'm very sleep deprived, but yeah. And also, the reason why I'm looking up here is that's where my chat is. So we got Josiah. Hello. At least the beard is still intact. Yep, the beard's not going to go anywhere. My wife practically married me for my beard, so if I lose that, I'll lose her. So that's staying around. Tuxords. In my project, I have a few buildings that have upgrades. And when the game opens a level, I want the buildings to load a save and check what upgrades the building has. What would be best for this? What you could do is you could do a data structure, and could do. It's hard to know without seeing exactly your setup, but you could do a data structure, with building ID numbers or titles, and then like the number of like load of booleans for different upgrades they have, if that's the way you've done it. If it's like a level based system, then that could be an integer. Oh, so sorry. Could be an integer. So that's something you definitely could do. Yeah. Wow, thank you for a donation, Pascal Briand. Thank you. It says, congratulations for the channel. If one day you get a chance to make a tutorial about making an AI character moving along a spline and adapting speed, it would help my opponent get smarter. So what kind of thing you're doing, Pascal? You're doing like a racing game type thing? Is that what you're doing? Let us know in chat if that's correct. There's loads more stuff I want to do with AI. Currently, we can only do one thing at a time, sadly. So currently my patrons have got a melee AI tutorial coming out. They're about halfway through that, where you have sort of like Batman Arkham Asylum style, where they all surround you and they take turns to come and attack you. So that's currently what's being done. After that, I'm not entirely sure what will be next. It could be pedestrian, could be flying AI. We'll see. Animal AI. One day I want to do animal AI, like a dog that you can play fetch with and things like that. Zimmy Jim. Hi, Zimmy Jim. Working on your tutorials and turning your Christmas goblins into zombies for my games. Oh, well, excellent. Well done. Hopefully you liked the Christmas game. Eric, are there more tutorials coming for AI? Yes, there definitely are. As I said, you've got the media AI currently out for patrons, well, halfway out, and that'll be out later this year for everyone else on YouTube. Point says, when it comes to publishing games on marketplaces such as Steam, Google Play, etc., are there any tips you have? Oh, Jesus Christ. And is there any weird legal things that you have to do, such as registering a company or trademarks? Okay, so when publishing a game, each company has certain rules that you have to have. So the game has to have certain, I don't know how you describe them, has to meet certain checks in order for them to be published. For example, on Android, like Google Play, the back button or swiping to go back has to do something. Okay, it can't not do anything. So you have to put in code that handles that. Likewise for iOS, because they don't have a back button, you have to have a on-screen back button, something that's there for the player to tap on the screen, because they don't have a back button. So you have to accommodate for both there. What other else could they do? There are memory limitations as well, especially on mobile side, memory limitations. A game can't have a certain amount of memory being used. The best thing to do is go on their developer portals, and they usually have like a PDF that you can download, which has all the information about the restrictions of that platform. I understand Steam are quite lax. There's not much to it. Because PC is quite powerful, can do all sorts of different things. Mobile, very different. There's a lot more restrictions. You'll find that iOS, it's more when it comes to mobile, there's a lot to do with marketing as well. So with especially iOS, for Apple, you have to use their logo in a very specific way. You can't do things to it and change it anyway. So keep that in mind. Just look up their developer portal PDFs, and it'll give you all the guidance they offer to developers. If I do miss your question, by the way, in chat, I apologise. Just put it down again, and hopefully I'll see it. We tend to get quite busy on these streams. We've got Big C saying, I'm trying to combine your inventory system with the equipment and equipping system. But I want my equipment to use a different data structure than a generic item structure, and I can't seem to do it. Oh my god, I can't stop yawning. Let's have some Coke. Let's do it. Okay. Cool, blimey. Okay, so Big C. A lot of this comes down to planning. So before you get into the weeds of game development, you should make sure you make a note of what do you need from all your stuff, and that's where you can plan ahead and make your data structures apply for equipment and items. Now you can use two different data structures. You can use one for items and you can use one for equipment. That's totally fine. You can totally do that. What you would have to take into account though is that when you're displaying that equipment into inventories, they have to read from both. It adds a lot more extra work. You're far better off just making a generic item structure that accommodates for everything, and then split it off. You can do a data structures like have empty parts, and that's totally fine. As long as it has all the data you need for it, that's totally doable. So you can have a data structure which is large, and then one of the data structures, one of the first ones could be type. So it could be one type could be equipment, the other type could be item, and then in your code you check with that type, and if it's equipment, then it'll then just look at the equipment based stuff rather than the item based stuff. That's one thing you can do. And so it really helps to plan ahead, rather than trying to ad hoc things, smash things together. Must say thank you to My Name is Frank Law for donating $1.99 US. He wants to know how to do a ground pound activated button like 3D platformer. Okay, we can probably try and do that right now actually. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so I'm in first person player blueprint. So we've got to make a ground pound first of all. So what we'll do is on our first person character, we'll increase their jump first of all so we can actually jump higher. Just search for jump, it'll be easier. Jump velocity, let's double it to 840. Compile, and let's just test that out. That's better. Okay, so what I want to do now is if I push, let's say control whilst jumping in the air, it'll slam in the ground. Okay, so let's do a control input. This ain't gonna work, is it? Control. There you go. Left control. So left control. We're gonna go. Is in air. No. What's it called? Air. Probably have to get the character movement component. There you go. No. What's it called? I can't remember what it's called now. There you go. It's falling. There you go. So it's falling. Put it into a branch. So if I push it while I'm in the air, we're going to launch the character down to the floor. Okay, so we're going to stop jumping, first of all. Okay, and then we're going to launch the player character down. So we're going to go launch character. And Z, we're going to go minus 840. Okay, so go flying downwards. And we're going to override the Z. When you override the Z, it's going to wipe out whatever current values in the Z axis. So when it's following up and down, it'll cancel that and stop it in the air and then apply the new launch velocity. So test that out. When I jump in the air, push control, I get launched to the floor. Let's make that a bit more beefy. So we go minus 1500. There you go. Cool. Right, so we've got a ground pound. Okay, so now you need a button that works for ground pound. Okay, so what we can do here, we can do several things. So let's make a button first of all. So on my button here, we're going to put in a little cylinder object. Oh, static mesh. Oh, come on. Cylinder. Okay. Quickly make our button. Obviously use a graphic or model of your own choice. We'll do that. I'll use a box as well. Okay, there's our button. Nice. Okay, so now we need to be able to detect when that's going to be hit. So what we're going to do is do a box collision. and I'm going to put that onto the root, attach it to the root. And I'm going to change these extents here, so it's a bit larger. So let's do 60 by 60 by 60. Cool. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if the player's butt stomped. So what we'll do is we'll make another actor. So actor class. We'll call it the butt stomp. And this butt stomp is nothing much really. It's going to have just that. And we'll do a collision on here. We'll do a sphere collision. And this will be the radius of the butt stomp. So we'll do, let's do 200. Okay. And we'll put a lifespan on this thing as well. So go class defaults, scroll down, and you'll see initial lifespan. And this is how long it's going to last in the world. So the reason why I'm doing this is because when you land on the floor, this will spawn, and then anything that was in that when it spawned will destroy or damage the enemy or whatever it may be, or push them out. So initial lifespan we'll do 1 second. We'll also do a radial force, and we'll whack this up. Let's do 100,000 for strength. Oh no, let's go crazy. Let's just do 10,000. I can't remember what the values normally are, but we'll do them. So when it spawned on begin play, we're going to do a radial force out here, and we're going to do what's it called? Impulse? No. Impulse. Fire impulse. Yeah, there you go. So we fire impulse and begin play, and that'll do its thing. Then we have to go back to our player character. So when we launch the character and when we land, we want to spawn a butt stomp. So we need to detect when we've landed. So there's an event called landed, like so. Okay, and what we're going to do is, I wonder if we can actually output the velocity when we land. Let's have a look. Let's print string this. So this, I'm going to test whether or not the velocity is, yeah, so see it's outputting the velocity when I'm landing. That's excellent, we can use that. So that means that we're forcing ourselves down, because if I was just jumping like normal, the value is a lot lower. It's -847, -842, so forth, yeah? And even if I jumped off a higher object, yeah, it's a lot not as high. So if I was to go back to my player character, we're going to get the velocity, split it, we only want the Z, and the Z value we're going to check whether or not it is less than or equal to, and we're going to do -1500. It can't be any slower than that, because when you're forcing something down, if that's the minimum speed, and it's going to pick up speed as it falls down because of gravity. So it will always be a smaller value than -1500. So event on landed. When we do that, that means we've used butt stomp, and then we do spawn actor from class. We're going to choose butt stomp. And the transform, we're going to get actor transform. And that will spawn it at the player's location. We'll compile that. And let's see how that works. So on butt stomp, what we're going to do, we'll also do a print string on here, so we know that we've butt stomped. So butt. Okay. So now push play. Butt. And we've got radial force on it, so these blocks should be knocked over if it was actually high enough. If I just put a butt stomp in the world. Let's make this so it's not hidden in game. think these has to be higher. These always. I think the radius needs to be higher for this. Yeah, let's make it higher. There you go. See it moved. Need to whack that up a little bit. So let's go on the full strength here, add an extra 0. How's that looking? That's a bit better. Okay, so now we've got butt stomp working. We can move this one. So now when I land on the floor, yeah. Yeah, butt stomp. Okay, so no need to make the button work with that butt stomp. So we're going to drag the use the button here, and we'll do on the box. We'll detect whether or not we are overlapping the butt stomp. We'll do a begin overlap. We can actually do that without the box, I think. So on actor begin overlap, we're going to check whether or not the other actor is equal to. Oh no, not equal to. Cast to. But. Oh no, not button. Cast to butt stomp. And if it is butt stomp, print string, button pressed. Okay. So now, if I put this button in the world, hit play, in theory, this should work. There you go, button pressed. And that's how you do a button press with a butt stomp. But now, obviously, my butt stomp is quite large, so will this trigger it over here? No. Button pressed. Okay, that's probably because he's quite a large area. So if I go and change my sphere here to be a lot smaller, let's do 60. Right, it doesn't work there, but works there. There we go. There you go. Hope that helped you out. My name is Frank, and thank you for your donation. That was excellent. Thank you so much. It means so much to me. Thank you. What else we got going on here? Sorry, yeah, we were on a tangent there, so we missed out a load of questions. So if I did miss your question, please put it down again in chat and have a look. So we've got Dark Cell Podcast. Give me a load of 50-50s here. Metallica or Taylor Swift? Oh man, they're both great. Probably Metallica. Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees? Jason. Spider-Man or Batman? I don't know. Spider-Man. Pirates of the Caribbean or Harry Potter? Harry Potter. Excellent. There you go. Joan Terran. Ryan, thanks for all. There are more material only for Patreons. Patrons have at the moment the rest of the Ability System series. They have half the Melee AI series. They have a number of videos on lighting and getting some more lighting videos this week coming. There are a load of other ones. There's like ones that do collectibles and odd little videos as well. They're starting to get crafting now as well. So loads of videos are available for Patreon. So and that's available to all patrons. So the $1 tier will get you all that. $10 tier will get you like the project files and things like that. And if you want to just vote on upcoming videos, there's a vote going on at the moment for this month's video. Patrons are now voting for that now. I think in the lead at the moment is teleporters. How to do teleporter from one point to another point. T. Catlin, sorry, your thing just scrolled up. Hi, about your quest system. If you are changing scenes, where should I store the quest log so it stays persistent? If you want the information to stay persistent across the whole entire game, across multiple levels, the game instance is the only object that will stay between all levels. It's the very first object that spawns when you launch a game, and it's the last one that closes. And it exists one only through the whole entire thing. So the game instance is where you want to store stuff like save data. That's usually a good place to store anyway. Abdudi, hello Abdudi. Good to see you again. Hi Ryan, I'm trying to make the camera move ahead of where the player is going so the player can see where they move in a 2D game. I've had no luck so far. Are you able to explain how you would do it? Do you mean all the time you could be able to see ahead where the player is? Because if that is the case, you just make the spring arm in front of the player. Just move the spring. I haven't got the third person template up, so I can't show you. So you have your player character, like the third person template, for example, or side scroll template. You have the player character, and you have a spring arm coming out of it, yeah, with the camera attached. Just move your spring arm ahead of the player, and so the camera and the spring arm are up here, and the player character model is over here. The character is still model at 0, 0, 0, but the spring arm's source is at the front. Is that what you want? That would be the case the whole entire time. Another option is you could put the spring arm on a spring arm. So you have another spring arm which goes out front of the player, and then on the end of that spring arm is the up to spring arm with the camera, and you can control then that first spring arm to control how far away the player moves in relation to that camera. Be it so you can move him ahead, move him behind, totally up to you. Yeah. Shadow, am I? Sorry for pronouncing your names wrong. Would you please create a tutorial for placing modular building parts, procedural building creation at design time, not at runtime? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's already on the list. So I've got procedural generation stuff on the list, including procedural assets, ranging from basic ones to more complicated ones. So that's already on the to-do list. So hopefully I'll be able to start doing stuff like that with in summer, hopefully. Flair, are you going to buy The Last of Us 2? I would love to, but I don't have a PS4. Sorry. I'm sure it'll be fine. Have I worked with Ambisonics audio in 425? I'd like to see a workflow tutorial. I haven't yet, no. Sorry. One day I'll get to it. No ETA currently. Sprubbly Nuggets. Hey Ryan, how are you? Thanks, Sprubbly. I'm okay. Very tired. Very tired. I'm working pretty much all day, looking after kids all day. Averaging not much sleep. So as you can probably tell, look at these. Oh, blimey, I look rough. Oh, yeah, I do look rough. I'm looking at the camera now. Damn. Yeah, so bit of a mess. But I'm alright. We're getting there. Hope everyone else is staying safe. And looking after each other. Probably Gavin. Ryan, have you ever worked with gameplay ability system? If so, what's your take on a new developer learning it? What about nativization as well? Turning blueprints into C++ for better performance. Okay, so first thing, gameplay ability system. Played with it a tiny bit. Yeah, fine. It helped me and inspired me to make my own ability system. That's the current series that's coming out every Friday for YouTubers. I designed a blueprint system based on the C++ version of it. But it isn't too complicated once you know the C++. The C++ part is set up, and then you can do the rest of it in Blueprint. So it's fine if you're comfortable with C++. And what do I know about nativization as well? Turning blueprints into C++ for better performance. It's important to remember that there is a misconception that you always can get better performance. That's not always the case. The performance difference between C++ and blueprints now is quite minimal. There's not much in it, so don't worry I would only worry about it if your game is designed to be quite complicated and quite messy and needs to be optimized. Most indie games don't need to be optimized, so you don't have to worry about it. Not at least optimized, but not as optimized, so to speak, as much as that. A game like Gears of War, for example, and Sea of Thieves, they're trying to get the most of that out of the engine as much as possible. So that's where C++ optimization comes in. because you can customize the engine to do what you want it to do. That being said, there are some things in Blueprints that aren't there. So you have to make them in C++ and bring them into Blueprints. And there's also this misconception as well that they are two separate things. Not the case. Pretty much every game studio that uses Unreal uses them both. They work together. That's the main takeaway. Okay. If you ever see any behind the scene footage of any other game being made in Unreal, a good example is the Jedi Fallen Order. Is it Fallen Order? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Fallen Order. There's a behind the scenes documentary about that, and you see them using Unreal for that, and you can see them using the blueprints for it. They use blueprints, but obviously there are some parts which are C++, but they'll use that to create the blueprint nodes, so then designers can go in and make the game as they wish. Again, so if I miss your comments or your questions, just put them in again. That'd be great. Flare. Is it possible to have an active water sim that affects the player environment during gameplay? Unlikely. Your water simulation is very expensive. Not really a game thing. We don't really do it in games because it is that expensive. So what you do instead is set up materials and volumes which handle that sort of thing. So we'll fake it with a volume which would then force a player down a current, for example, and give the illusion of a current or bobbing up and down or whatever it may be. But you should avoid active simulations especially with water. It's so expensive to do. So avoid it if you can. You want to can the animation, render out the simulation if you can. If you're doing Houdini, for example, you can render out the simulation and bring that in as an animation. That would be much better, but it depends on what you're trying to achieve with your water simulation. SF, hey Ryan, how would you do an off-screen indicator for an active objective or enemy, like an arrow that looks to the side of the screen to tell you where they are when they're not on screen facing them? I've currently got that on my to-do list to make a video on it. I'm still figuring out the kinks of it. Once I've got around the kinks, then the video will be out for that. It's something I got brought up by a patron of mine, so that will be coming out at some point. But yeah, I'm still working out the kinks of that one. It's a widget that is use. My initial idea is to use what's it called? You project world space to screen space. There's a node for, I can't remember what the node's called, but you go from world space to screen space, and then you detect when it's off the screen, and then you can get coordinates because screen space is still detected even if it's off screen, so it goes up to massive numbers either side. So you can use that to calculate where the arrow should be. I'll say more on that when I do actually figure it out properly. Yeah. Chromo, thank you for your support. That means so much. Thank you so much for your donation. That means a lot. Hey Ryan, thanks for AI series. Do you have any plan for EQS shoots? What do you think about Control Rig? Got more EQS stuff coming out alongside my current ones, which I've got like EQS specific ones. I've also got the Shooter AI uses it as well. We'll be doing some more stuff for EQS down the road, especially when we're doing flying AI. There's some EQS stuff going on there. AI is such a massive topic. There's so much to cover. We will be covering it, I promise. Control Rig, still messing about. I haven't played with it much. We'll get to it as soon as I can. At the moment, my work schedule is massively busy because it's the end of term because I'm a college teacher, by the way. I'm a teacher in real life. So it's a very busy time of year for me because we're wrapping up all our students, so it's checking the final pieces of work, and at the moment I'm building a virtual exhibition for my students' work. So the whole art department and media department of the college I'm in, we're making an online virtual exhibition museum. So I've made a virtual museum where you can walk around and view exhibits of student work and stuff like that. So I'm currently making that all on my own. It's taken a lot of time. So once that's out of the way, I could do a lot more experimentation and a lot more playing about with all these new stuff that's coming in and out of Unreal. T. Catalin, sorry. Thanks. Another question. Can you extend your AI tutorials with some AI that are helping you, like a party system? Here was a storm where 4 guys are playing AI. Again, it's on the to-do list. And as I said, AI is such a massive system. It's just a matter of getting around to it. What I'll probably do is once the Melee AI is out of the way, because I'm getting a load of requests for different AI series. Once Melee AI is out, I'll put a vote up for everyone. Probably the patrons first and foremost to get their opinion on which AI system they want to see next. I kind of want to do something a bit different where it's not enemies just attacking you. I want to try something else, but that's my personal take. But if you guys want more stuff, different stuff, then let us know in that poll when it does go up. Probably in the summertime, August. Cal number 47. Can you recommend some material editing learning resources? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I learned it by just mucking about and just googling the odd thing here and there. I'm trying to think of specific resources. The website 80.level, so 80.lv, has some good articles on there from game developers, and they sometimes put up their screenshots of their materials and how they do it. So 80.level is a good one to go to. If you don't know about it, it's a really cool website where game developers write up about how they did certain things. Sort of like GDC, but online. Probably Gavin. Also, not to take too much of your time, but I'll wait for these monthly. Before I asked about keeping track of actions a player does, could you go over that some way? I can't find documentation of that. What do you mean by actions a player does? Do you mean like stats, like number of times they've jumped, number of attacks they've done, things like that? Because if that's the case, I have got videos of that coming out later on. They are currently made for someone who paid for it in private. So I had a client who wanted some videos done, so I made one. That was one of his ones. So he's got exclusive use of that one for the time being. But after the time it's expired, it'll be out for everyone. Stat tracking type of stuff. Is that what you mean? Stat tracking? Let us know in chat if I'm correct about that. AA, are you doing the game jam? I would love to do the game jam. However, as I said, I don't do this all day. I have a full-time job, and plus I have 2 very young children. I have a 1-year-old and a almost 3-year-old. He's 3 this month. He's 3 on the 20th of this month. So finding time to do 48 hours all on my own, and I'm in the kitchen. So trying to find a space for 48 hours on my own that A, the kids don't miss me or don't need me, and B, my wife isn't screaming for help from me. So I'd normally love to, but as I'm not doing this full time yet, I can't. When I'm doing this full time, hopefully, yes. But at the moment, no. It's probably Nuggets. Could you make a tutorial for Infinite Quest? They're the same every time you launch the game, though. Infinite Quest. Do you mean like procedural quests? Is that what you mean, Swably? AI, will I be doing a tutorial on Control Rig? I haven't looked at it yet, so I have looked at it. Maybe, yeah. What I like to do a lot of is when I'm learning something, because I'm always learning stuff. I'm always learning loads of new stuff in Unreal all the time. Once I've learned something, I typically would make a video on it. So, because I can understand, because of my experience, I can understand how things work a bit better. So what I typically do is I would learn how to do something, and then translate it to make it easier to understand for video format, so I can teach you guys. So once I've learned it and looked at it, then yeah, probably will be a video on it. What I say, it just depends on when I can get around to it. Hope I say summer I'm a bit more freer, so hopefully in summer. Stan Deschepper, I'm new in UE4, and in my new project, my preview is black, and if I try to play it, it says fail to create an entry point. I have not experienced that error before, Stan, unfortunately. I don't know what to say. I don't know what that. I haven't experienced it, so I don't know. And your preview's black. Do you actually have like a graphics card in your machine? Sometimes if it doesn't render stuff, usually you get graphic cards issues. Maybe. I can't say for certain, unfortunately. Let's scroll down here. Sorry. Where do I teach? I teach at a college in south of Essex. It's called USP College. So yeah, I teach there. I teach 16-year-olds up to adults. So teach them game design. Also teach them a bit of like media, like visual effects and green screen stuff and stuff, tricky stuff like that. I'm also a manager of the area. So yeah. How long will I stay live for? Tonight we'll probably do another 40 minutes. We'll go until 12:30 my time. I made it an hour and a half long video. Rodrigo Mares, can you do a video series about game optimization in UE4? I have got that on the list to do, especially for mobile. There's loads of stuff you can do with mobile to make it more optimized for mobile development. So yes, that is on the list to do, and that will be coming out hopefully sooner rather than later, especially for patrons. So patrons are well ahead of videos. They're like months ahead of everyone else. Like the Ability System series came out in like February time for them. Yes, it will be out in time. Abdudi, another question about the camera. Would you use a timeline to transition a spring arm or something else? You can do a timeline or you can do an interp. You can do a lerp. F in what's it called? Yeah, F interp. Yeah, F interp 2. So you use an F interp 2 in a tick event, for example. That's one way of doing it. And you can use a delta time for that. And you get your current length, target length, and the speed of it, and it'll smoothly transition between one and the other. So that's one way of doing it. Otherwise, yes, you can do a timeline. The F-interp 2 works better if you're the distance between the player character and the camera is constantly moving. The timeline works best if it's a fixed thing, so it's going to happen just once, maybe, and be a fixed. It's not going to stop and change. So you could do something like you're passing into the player character through the game mode or level design or whatever it is a new value, and on the tick event it's constantly updating that transition between the spring arm in a tick event. So that is F-interp 2. And I've got a video about how interps work, but essentially you get current value and target value. The delta time. Delta, by the way, means the amount of time that's happened between the last tick and the current tick. So you use that. It's like a fraction of a time. And interp speed is how fast you want it to go. If it's 0, then it'll go straight to it. So if you've got a target length as a variable in here, you just cast to the first person character and tell its target length to change, and the tick event will update that all the time for you. Totally fine. Be probably the easiest way of doing it. Dato, how to print an int or an actor in a widget. An int, do you mean like just a variable integer? So on your widget, so when you go to make a widget, it depends on what kind of widget you're making, but ideally you're going to pass into the widget. You can put in a character, for example. So in variables here, we'll maybe have an actor, and the actor will be an type of actor. and this actor or whatever it may be. So this actor could be like enemy, for example, and that'd be a variable type of enemy, and you make that editable. So when you spawn the widget, you attach the enemy to the widget. Once you've got that, then you can drag that out and get any value you like from this actor. So get any int. Yeah. It's totally one way of doing it. If you're doing it from the player, for example, so if we go, accidentally clicked on that. If we go into the player, we go new variable here, int test, and we make that an integer. This integer, we can then go into my widget, and on a construct, we can get the player character, cast to player character. Cast to first person character, sorry. And then store that as a reference. It's a good idea to store the cast as a reference. It saves you getting it back over and over again. So save it as a reference. So we call it player. Because what you're doing is to get player characters, is giving you a generic thing. The cast is finding the exact address, and this is basically an address of where it can find the player's data. Once it's got that and saved it, you've saved that address basically, so it saves you having to go back and doing this over and over again. So now you've got that address here, you can then bind something to that address. So you can make a binding up for an integer. So a text block there, bind, create binding, and you get player reference, and you get int test. There you go, and I plug that in. That's all there is to it. Okay, hopefully that answers your question, and you can figure out what you need from that. How would I spawn my player character as a random mesh each round? All my character meshes are of the same skeleton. Okay, so one thing you can do is on your player character, which like we've got here, let's just delete this stuff. What you can do on here is you create a new variable and go meshes, and the type for this will be skeletal mesh, and you make it an array. So click on the little icon here and click on the array icon, click compile, and then in your editor here you just add all the various meshes it can be. So I can do the arms, and you can do, I don't know, I've only got two here, so gun or whatever. And on the construction script, you get your skeletal mesh, and you go set skeletal mesh, and you want to get a random mesh from this array. So you drag the array out, get, plug that in there, and this will be the randomized value. So go random integer from in range, and the range will be 0, and then get the meshes and get last index, and that'll be your maximum range. So now it's going to get a random mesh from that array and set it as the skeletal mesh, and that's how you get a random mesh every single time. And because it's in the construction script, it will do that as soon as it's constructed. Pardon me. PC underscore K130. Hi, my friend. I need help. I want to make stock in lobby like PUBG. Have you done multiplayer coding before? Interesting to know what you know already of multiplayer coding. First of all, Matt Cornelius, could you give some ideas on how to make StarCraft style distance fog, where you can only see what is in your unit's building's line of sight? Interesting. I haven't done it before. I've always wanted to try and make an RTS. How would you do Fog of War? You could probably do like a post-process material. Yeah, maybe a post-process material, which then gets the distance of objects within each other. Maybe, I don't know. I'm initially thinking post-process material. I can't say for certain without playtesting it. I haven't made it before, so I can't say for certain. But I would say look at post-process material and look at the custom scene depth and making the enemy faction units and things like that. Things that are going to be hidden into a custom scene depth, and then you can filter them out a lot easier. Yeah, that's where I would think maybe. That'd be where I'd be. I'm thinking is. Marco Paulo Chavez Alba. Nice to meet you. I'm following your Making My Own Maze game. Your videos are so useful. Thank you. I'm glad you're liking it. The second series, Making Your Second Game, is being filmed next week after maybe. So that'll be coming out in a couple of months' time for everyone. So look forward to that. That's a different type of game. Again, all the assets will be provided for you. I'm making the assets, and that'll be up as soon as it's all been recorded. Josh Reyes, how can I debug a package development build? You want to use the launch options. Oh my god. And you can. There's a way. I can't remember how you do it now. I ain't done it for so long. It's something to do with launch. You can change it so. I can't remember now. No. Not too sure, unfortunately. I'll have to look into it and get back to you on that one. Sony Reloaders. How can I make AI like GTA Vice City? Do you mean like pedestrian AI? Something I'll figure out first. Initially, you're thinking of nav meshes and then customizing nav meshes for roads and pavements so that roads have a different value on them. So they're like dangerous for pedestrians. So you can make them go towards certain areas. Yeah. Maybe. It's on the again. It's on the to-do list of AI stuff. I'll do a poll. Once the melee AI stuff is done, we're doing a poll, and that'll be up for people to vote on in the summertime for the next one. Fine Waterland. Hey Ryan, have you ever done any League of Legends abilities kind of videos? The closest thing is the Ability System series. That's the closest thing, really. Probably Gavin, if you get the Patreon, are all the exclusive videos available? Yes, you can go and you'll see them all there. I'm kind of working out a way of arranging them so it makes it easier to find them, but you literally just go on Patreon, and once you become a Patreon, you can just scroll down and search for anything you like in the feed. Sajit, yes, I did cut my hair, Sajit. Again, good to see you. Sajit is one of my students. Nefstar, thanks so much for your first game tutorial series. Following it now, and it's been so much clearer than some paid tutorials I've got previously. Keep up the grand work. Oh, thank you, and I'm glad you like it. As I said, the second series is coming out very, very soon. I'm filming it next week after-ish. It's pretty much done, like testing for it, and it is a a side-scrolling spaceship shooter, and it introduces you to AI and making the game loops and like procedural stuff as well. So you get some slightly more advanced stuff in there, and again making a full game out of it with all assets included and so forth. And it always pretty much the same structure as the first series. And again, you'll be able to get all of that on Skillshare or a gold Patreon as well straight away. Probably Gavin. Ryan, have you ever played the MOBA Smite? It was made with UE3. It's free, and I think you could use it for the same string you did with Borderlands 3, like ideas and abilities. I have played Smite, but not in a long time, man. Yeah, we could do that for case study. I'm trying to think of a good case study to do for next one. So that'd be something to keep in mind. Smite. We could try it out again. It's been a long time since I played it. Flare, what about hair? There's a new Alembic type hair system I've seen people use instead of making hair cards. Is it advisable or is it performance heavy as well? Yeah, it will be more performance heavy than the cards, or making a character bald. I haven't played with it yet, so I can't comment on how performance heavy it will be, but it will be heavier. But as I say, I can't comment exactly on the difference between the two for now, performance-wise anyway. Whilst I've got a little break, I'm going to have a little sip of my drink. Flair's also asking, what was the last game I played? I've gotten really into, or back into rather, World of Warcraft. The drug that is World of Warcraft has got me again, and so I've been playing that a lot lately. Other than that, what have I been playing? Tried out a bit of Warzone, and but really the game I played a lot of recently and I completed was what's it called? Journey to the Savage Planet or something like that. Played that, and the reason why I played it a lot was I love Metroidvania type games. They're probably my soft spot for games, like those type of things. But my son loved me playing it. He loved watching me play it, so we just played it all day. It was good fun for him. He liked it because it's all colourful and very pretty. An Unreal game as well, which is interesting. Francis Young, can you make an on-rail space shooter tutorial? What, first person? There's a third person one coming out, a side-scrolling one. That's coming out as they're making your second game. So that will be out for that. But first person, it'd be very similar to it, just been changed in a different perspective. In reference to Smart, they let you aim the ability before firing off. Do you cover that in your ability system series? I don't think I do cover it in ability systems. We cover targeting, so selecting an enemy and clicking a button to attack the enemy, but not like free-form aiming. But free-form aiming is not hard at all. It's literally just, rather than make it go towards a target, just make it go to wherever the player's facing. So that's the only difference. It's not much difference at all. Sony reloaders, can we use a nav mesh and patrolling the same? Yes. You want the nav mesh. You can only have one, as far as I'm aware. I haven't looked at it recently. As far as I'm aware, you can have one nav mesh. So you used it for the same stuff. But yes, you combine them. Were you able to figure out the water hose skeletal mesh issue? I haven't tested it, but I've got another idea. I'm going to be testing that when I get some time free to do it. My current idea is to have it so there's a physics constraint on the player character and a physics constraint on the hose, and then you tie the two together. That's the way I think I've seen it done. So I'm going to try that out, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it works. We'll see. Phil Zan, have I ever published a game? Yep. Published Blob, my game Blob, on the Android and iOS stores. So you can search for it. It's free to play, free to download. BLOBB. It's a 2D puzzle game. Yeah, check it out. It's free. We've probably got about 20 minutes left. So you want to get some final questions in? Feel free to chuck them in. We'll carry on for another 20 minutes. Yeah, and I'm currently working on another game feel in Unreal, a 3D game, an arcadey co-op couch co-op game, all about firefighting. So yeah, that's coming out. Whoa, it just all come up then. So X-Draco, you try to recreate the near automata camera system without success. The system moves between 3D and 2.5D. I've actually got a video about dynamic third-person cameras. So search my channel for dynamic camera, and you should see a video on how to do a dynamic third-person camera. So when you go into an area, it changes from a 3D camera to a 2.5D camera, and then changes back to a 3D camera. So check that out on the channel. It's called dynamic. So I've got a really itchy nose. The tash is going into my nostrils. Flare. How does someone take the camera away from the player to show something, then return to them in a third-person game? Okay, so I can show you that in a first-person game here because I haven't got a third person on me. But a third-person game, let's do that. So let's do. We'll do a blueprint class and do camera focus. And the camera focus here is going to have two things. It's going to have a camera, and it's also going to have a box collision. And compile that and detach these two, so they're two separate things. So the box and the camera are two separate things there. Event graph. So here's where the magic happens. So on the box, we're going to right click on there, go add event on begin overlap, and then go other actor cast to, or no, we can just do, rather than doing cast, you just do equals to, and you can go from there get player character. Okay, do that like so, and when you've got a branch for that, that means when the player's entered its overlap, we're then going to get the player controller. And we're going to then blend, set view target with blend. And the new target is going to be itself. So it'll switch to this camera here. And the blend time, we'll make that as a variable here. So we go variable, blend time, float, and drag that into blend time there. I'm then going to make that editable by clicking the eyeball. And we're going to tick lock outgoing. Okay, that means once the camera goes there, it's going to stay there. Okay, then we're going to we can do a delay, and we'll put in a new timer here. We'll do hold time. Again, editable, and we're going to drag that into the delay. And in the delay, we're going to come out of there. Oh, and then do exactly the same here. So set view target with blend. But this time, the new view target would be get player character. The blend time, I'll leave it 0. So it's going to go back there immediately. Once I've got that done, that's it really. So I'll make this only do it once. Let's do once here. Oh no, do once like so, and that's it. So the way this works is I'll drag this out into the world here. Okay, and I then click in the details panel. I click on the box there. Let's make it so it's not hidden in the world, so I can actually see it. So there you go. I had it game mode on. So this box is going to be where the player has to walk into. So we'll put this box over here, and we'll make that a bit bigger. Because these components are separate, you can click on and drag them wherever you want. So now I click on the camera, And I can place the camera wherever I want as well. So let's go over there, over here. Like so. So now, hit play. I walk forwards into this box, and it don't work. Why don't it work? Should let me. Oh wait, I didn't. Blend time needs a value on it, so we'll do 5, and hold time we'll do 5 as well. There we go. So now camera will blend to that new camera, and then snap back. So once it does that, what we're going to do actually, we need to, on the delay, add the hold time and the blend time together, so it pauses both their times. And it's important, you may want to do as well, is make it so the player input is stopped as well. So we'll get get player character, disable input, get player controller, and then afterwards enable input on it. Get player controller. So what's going on here is when we go over the box, it's going to do it once and only once. We're going to check if it's a player character. If it is player character, carry on. Set view target blend, blends 2 targets together, so goes from one camera to another camera based on an actor. These need to be actors, so it's going to go from the current actor, which is the player character, to a new one, which is this thing, and it's going to take the amount of time that is defined in blend time. It's then going to be disabling the input on the player character, and we're going to take the blend time and hold time, add them together, because otherwise the hold time is going to be ticking off whilst it's still moving. So if we add them together, it's going to move, hold, and then carry on. And then after that, we'll set the view target back to the player character, and then re-enable input onto the player character. So it looks like the final thing here. Hit play. It does this, and it will stay here for 5 seconds. This way you show stuff, whatever it may be, and then it will snap back to the player character. There you go. And it only do it once, so I can walk through this again, it'll be okay. Now, if you want to do it multiple times, obviously, just don't do once, you do leave that out. But that is a way of doing that. Hopefully that you've learned something from that. Okay, so so if I do miss your question, it's been quite busy tonight, so I haven't been able to answer everyone. So we answer the last few. We've got 13 minutes left. So Jenny Bowl TV. If I do miss your question, just put it up again. Hopefully you have time to answer it. Jenny Bowl TV. Hey mate, I have a question. How would you deal with creating a blob slime AI with animations? It should be able to move by squishing and then jumping around. I tried using root motion, but it seems impossible to combine with an AI. Any ideas? It shouldn't. The AI can be anything you like. It doesn't have to be a character. It could just be anything. It has to be a pawn, at the very least. Pawn. It's because pawns can be possessed by AI or player characters, player controllers. Sorry. So it has to be a pawn for one. If you want it to be animated, if I was doing a blob and slime animation, I'd make the animation all material based. So it's dynamic, not have to worry about animating a slime. It'd be very hard, quite fiddly to do. So that's what I would do. Yeah, it shouldn't be any issue with that. It should be fine. I don't understand why it wouldn't work. Just make sure it's a pawn, not an actor. Prof Looney, I'm trying to find a function in out my material and can't find it. It's something not around anymore. What function? Oh, input function. Find a function input, as I meant to say, in my material, and I can't find. Is it? It's something not around anymore. What do you mean by function input? Which one in particular? Let us know if you can. That'd be great. A253, your opinion about VR games future? They've gotten really good. I think I got a Quest, and I think that's the best chance VR's had is the Quest, because it is a self-contained system. There's less hurdles for it. It is all in one. Very cool system. I love my Quest, and obviously you can link it up to your PC if you want to do stuff. So I've been playing Half-Life Alyx on it using virtual desktop and the link cable. I've tried both, and both work fine. So VR, I think it's going to have a very good year, or years ahead of it. I don't think we're done yet with it. I say the Quest is great. I love it. So Yoza's asking, advanced weapon inventory system series combining all other third-person style. That would be awesome. So something very special is coming out. Is I'm currently making a FPS RPG tutorial series that is more advanced. It incorporates all the things that I've covered in my channel basically into one series. So you get to see how to combine a quest system, inventory system, equipment system, shopkeeper, all that stuff all together. Plus weapon-based system for an FPS RPG. So a gun that you can swap out pieces and randomize it and give it stats, different abilities. IK-based system, so we put a gun in people's hands and the hands will do the animations they need to do based on how procedural it is, because if it's a randomized gun, you need to be able to do the reload animation, for example. So that's quite cool. How to do like a Destiny style menu. When you push a button, it goes like a 3D menu with the character standing there and you can do stuff with it. That's coming within it. Loads more advanced stuff coming in that series. That's currently being made at the moment. So patrons can look out for that next month, maybe the month after, as it comes out. That's going to be a long one. It's going to take a long time to make. But yeah, it'd be really cool. Yeah, be like Fallout-ish, like Fallout, Borderlands / Destiny, that sort of thing. Yep, loot shooter. Burak Keskin, hello Ryan, I learned a lot from your future tutorial. Thank you for these awesome videos. Keep doing it, man. I will. They've been great fun to make, and I can't wait to eventually one day do this full time. God knows when that'll be, but that's the dream, to be able to do this as a full-time profession rather than try and do it late at night every day. I'm at the moment in the middle of writing up something that will explain what that would possibly look like. So with your support, everyone's support, I can achieve that goal, and I'm writing up and sharing with you what that would mean for you guys. What would you get out of it if I was doing this full time? Hint, a lot more live stuff, and a lot more one-to-one stuff as well, and all this other more new series, more videos, all that stuff. As I said, and not use my kitchen as a backdrop. Jenny Ball TV, but doesn't the material solution only work with 2D? I mean, I want to rig my slime in 3D and let it randomly jump around. Yeah, you can do it in 3D. You do something called vertex painting. So you have your slime creature made in Blender or whatever, and you paint the vertices at the bottom of it a different color to the top and make it blend. And you can make the bottom part move different to the other part, and it'll like stretch it and squish it, and you can do stuff with that. I'll try and think if I can make a video around something like that. It'd be great if I can. Yeah, I don't know. We'll give that a shot. We'll see. But if I can make it, I'll show you how to do it. It's not too difficult. You could tie the bone as well, maybe to the bottom. I don't know. I would try and find a way to do it procedurally to make it look more natural, more fluid-like. It'd be hard to make it work all the time in the environment. I want to rig my slime in 3D, then let it randomly jump around. But if right, okay, so you got a slime creature like in Zelda, for example, like a blob creature that jumps around. Okay, that's totally fine. Yeah, you can do that. So if you've got an animation of that, if you've got root motion, then use root motion. If you haven't got root motion, then you want to apply a velocity to it. So launch velocity. Let's have a look here. I'll show you this. So I've got launch velocity here somewhere. Where is it? So on launch character, so on your slime you have launch character, and on here you just give it X as well as a Z, and it will launch it up like an arc. You go whoop, over. So that's how you would do that. Use X and Z, and that's launch character, and that could be anything. That could be in your AI code. It could be on your character's code. Wherever you want to put it, up to you. But that's what you're going to be using to do that. I wouldn't bother with an animation of it. Actually, to do an animation, if you want an animation to make it look it's squishing up and down, just animate it without root motion, doing that on the spot. Like, a good way of animating without root motion is to animate it in Blender or Maya, whatever you're using, like you want to see it in game, like goes up, burn down, yeah, and then take away the lateral movement and the Z movement, take that all out of it, and so you just get the deformations. Keep that, and then you can import that in and just use launch character to make it do its thing, or use root motion, whichever you want to do. But I personally would do vertex painting, because vertex painting, what you can do is launch character, and you can make one half of the character lag behind the other half, and you go squishy, squashy. I think it could be quite fun. Control Alt F12. Hey Ryan, how do you change the input of controls when I change the camera to the opposite side so that AD keys still work to make the character go left and right respectively? Thanks for this. So when you're doing controls for character when the camera changes, you want to make sure that the controls are going by like the oh hello. So here you can see on the first person camera mode, it's going by where the camera is. Okay, and getting the forward vector of the camera, and it's using that as its movement input. Okay, so you do that same thing for the camera there. So when the camera pans out around this way, you get the right vector. When you push right on the keypad, you want to make it go to the right. So you use this camera to use the camera rather than the character to do so. That'd be the only way of doing that. It'd be a bit weird. Yeah, you just need to switch it so it uses the camera rather than the mesh. That's the best way of doing it, I think. The only way of doing it. You may need to do like a gate or not a gate, like a Boolean check to see which way you're meant to be going. If you're behind the camera or behind the player, sorry, or to the side, maybe. Hard to do right now without thinking about making it, but that's the way I would think about doing it. Make sure you use the camera, not mesh, to work out movement, so it's relative to the camera's position. Oh no. Ken H, can you do a slot-based inventory system like Diablo? Not right now. Maybe down the line. It's not on the immediate to-do list, as I've got quite a lot of inventory stuff already out. But once I've got that stuff, once I've got the stuff I want to get done, I'll be revisiting some topics and doing different styles on them. Yeah, maybe doing that. Probably Gavin, have you ever explained different attacks within different ranges, like Dark Souls bosses swinging in close range versus jumping at you in long range? Or would you just check distance to player before attack? Yeah, just check distance, yeah. Do you have any idea how you can do NPCs lip sync to a text file? I'm actually working on that. Bear with me. I am working on a system like that. I've been playtesting. I'll let you know how far I get. It's using poses, and you can do a pose mesh for different facial features, and there are fixed poses for a face, and you just move their mouth to wherever the text goes. So there's a way of syncing up words to face positions. We'll cover that at some point. I've been doing some research into it. But great. Okay. I think we're gonna have to end it there. It is 12:30. So thank you so much for everyone for joining me tonight, and thank you to everyone who's supported me and donated to me this evening. Thank you again so much. And for all the patrons watching, thank you for your support, as well as my YouTube members. Thank you again for your support. If you want to get access to all these videos that I make before everyone else, become a patron. At least $1 will give you access to all that content, and obviously there's more benefits for all different tiers, so check that out if you can. That'd be great. I say I want to do this full time eventually, so every little helps, and it really does help me out massively. So thank you again so much for the kind words and support. Other than that, have a excellent rest of your evenings or days, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you next time. Before I go, rundown of what to expect this week. So Monday, making your first game continues for both YouTubes and patrons. Then on Wednesday, you've got, I think you got World Competition on Wednesday. I think that's what I've got down on my diary. And then on YouTube. And then on Friday, you've got another episode of the Ability System series. Then live next week, we've got case study, I think it is. I think it's a case study next weekend. So we'll have a look at that. I'll announce more of that in due time. I ain't got my diary in front of me at the moment. Patrons can look forward to another episode of Melee AI stuff. We've got more of that coming. YouTube members can get that too. Plus more crafting videos. And more lighting videos this week. More lighting to about light maps, post-processing, brightness checks, and all that stuff. All loads of cool stuff coming out. So we're working on FPS RPG and making a second game series. So look out for that in the near future. Thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.